What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Love After Lockup, Season 4, Episode 7, What Are You Hiding? So we start off with Taylor and Chance. Bobby gone, y'all. Bobby is gone. She left the night before, whatever night that was, when they came home, and she was supposed to be babysitting the kids, and the kids were bouncing off the walls. The kids rearranged the whole entire living room into their own little playground. Bobby's in the room somewhere behind a locked door, not keeping her eye on the children. So Taylor and Chance were really upset with Bobby, and Bobby ran off into the night, and they haven't seen her since. So Taylor tells us that her sister has been struggling, or was struggling. She was a heroin addict, and obviously she's still struggling with that addiction, because we all know once an addict, whether it's alcohol, food, or drugs, you're always an addict. And it's just a fight that you have to try to win every day. So her sister struggled with heroin. Taylor tells us that Bobby even OD'd a few times, and she died when she OD'd, but came back to life. And also, so she feels really bad about her sister not being there. I guess she's also very concerned about her sister, and maybe even more concerned about her sister's sobriety. And she says that she hasn't lived in that house without her sister. So this is like a big deal to Taylor. She's really struggling without Bobby. So they talked to Bobby on the phone. Chance really regrets making Taylor cry, because as she was talking to her sister, as she was talking about her sister, Taylor was just crying. And Chance felt really bad. And he knows that he made her cry by how he talked to Bobby. So, and he says himself that, maybe he shouldn't have been so outspoken about Bobby. So Chance is having second thoughts. The man who didn't want Bobby in the house before he himself stepped into the house now wants Bobby back. So while they're cleaning the house, Chance is folding clothes. Taylor is doing whatever in the kitchen. Either Taylor called Bobby or Bobby called Taylor, but they're talking on the phone. Since she's been gone, they've realized how much of a help that Bobby was. And I kind of wonder if Chance wants Bobby back, because as he was folding those clothes, he was probably like, wow, I really do want Bobby to come back so she can help out with some of these household chores. So Chance wants to apologize. He says that he's been wanting to apologize for Bobby, but every time he tries to call her, she doesn't pick up the phone. Bobby won't give him the time of day. Bobby tells him that she'll stay with some friends for a couple of days, but that she's really tired of fighting with Chance, and she's really tired of watching Chance and Taylor fight. So, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see if Bobby's going to come back. This is a full house. You have three grown adults, you have three rambunctious children, and the house doesn't really look that big. This is a full house. So I don't know how they're going to make it work. I don't know. I just don't know how they're going to make it work. But let's see how all of this unfolds. Moving on to Radine and Rick. So they all go to pick up Radine from the halfway house. It was Rick, her parents, and her brother. After they pick her up from the halfway house, they all go out to dinner. Radine says that she's going to be staying with her parents, and this is going to help her with her sobriety. Obviously, Rick is not happy about this at all. He says that staying with him can also help with her sobriety. But as we all know, her father is not for Radine staying with Rick, because Rick himself is also a recovering addict. And so the father says, or he had said previously that he did not want Radine to stay with him, with Rick. He wants Radine to stay in his own home. The father wants to be close to his daughter. He wants to keep a close eye on his daughter. And I think that Radine just doesn't want to live with Rick. So she's got this support in her parents of living with them. So it's like a losing battle for Rick. I'm like, Rick, just give it up. But I bet you anything that if Kay was free, and if Kay had her own apartment, I'm pretty sure Radine would see nothing wrong with staying with Radine. I'm staying with Kay instead of staying with her parents. So the dad says that he wants Radine to stay with him for 6 months to a year. And Rick has been waiting for Radine to be released from prison for like 3 to 4 years. Now he has to wait another 6 months to a year to start this so-called life with Radine. And I say so-called because Rick is the only one that has visions of him and Radine living together happily ever after. Radine sees herself living together happily ever after with Kay, not with Rick. Rick is constantly fighting someone for Radine. First he was fighting Kay for Radine. Now he's fighting her father for Radine. And I'm like, Rick, just give it up. I don't think you're going to get what you want out of this woman. I just don't, because it just says if Ray Dean wanted to live with Rick, she would go live with Rick. So Rick, it's obvious, sweetheart, that she does not want to cohabitate with you. So please stop waiting for that day to come. Ray Dean also wants to be home with her dad because of his health problems. So there's another excuse of why she doesn't want to live with Rick. Now she feels like, she has to be the doting daughter and she has to be there to take care of her dad. I swear to God, if Kay was free, Ray Dean would not be giving a damn about taking care of her dad. She'd go live with Kay. Or maybe Kay would live with them. So Rick says that for 4 years, he tells her at dinner, he says, for 4 years, you and I have made plans about being together. And now all of a sudden, you have flipped the script on me. And I said to myself, for 4 years, Rick, you were just a trick. You were a trick. Her and Kay were using you for your money. Please realize that. The sooner you realize that, the sooner you will be on the road to recovery, to become a man healed from the voodoo of Ray Dean or whatever spell she put on you. Because Rick is like, Ray Dean has Rick hooked line and sinker. It's like, it's so obvious, Rick, that this girl is just not that into you. But whatever. So the dad says that Rick is being unreasonable. Rick should accept that Ray Dean needs to stay home. Ray Dean says that you can be my support without having to be around me 24 hours. So as she's driving Rick back home, it's just the two of them in the car, in the pickup truck. Ray Dean says in her confessional that staying with her family gives her stability and it grounds her. Whatever, Ray Dean. I mean, whatever makes you sleep better at night. You just don't want to be with Rick. Stop with this whole thing about how you're so dedicated to your family. You have nowhere else to go. You have nothing else to do. You don't want to live with Rick because you're not interested. You can't live on your own because you have no money. So you're going to stay with your parents. Stop acting like you're making this huge sacrifice or whatever to stay with your parents. You just don't have any other choice. If Kay was out and had her own place, you would be living with Kay. You wouldn't be giving a damn about going to stay with your parents. So if she believes that, staying with her parents is good for her sobriety and it grounds her and is the best decision for her, then why were you making plans with Rick when you were incarcerated? Why were you filling up his head with all of these dreams and visions of y'all living together, getting married, having children? Why were you pumping him up with all of that nonsense if you ended up deciding that you were just going to live with your parents? You should have been making plans with your parents about staying with them, happily ever after. And not, but it's all a game. I don't even want to give this too much energy because it was all a game. Ray Dean, Rick is a trick to you. He was just a source of an income, source of money. That's all it was. So now you're going to play this game. Oh, I've just realized all of a sudden that it's better for me to live with my parents for my sobriety and to take care of my ailing dad. Your dad was still ailing when you were in prison. You knew that you were a struggling addict when you were still in prison, but you had made plans to live with Rick. Now you've changed it up on him because you don't need Rick anymore. You have mommy and daddy to take care of you. So on the way home, like I said, as she's driving Rick home, Rick expresses that he wants to spend the night with her. Like, he wants to spend more time with her. And she says that she just wants to go home. Okay, y'all don't have to fool around, but you can just stay with him the night, watch TV or just a couple of hours. Damn, every time he's with you, you're with your parents. You can just spend like a couple of hours with him, watch a movie, have a couple of drinks and then go home. You don't have to do the whole shebang if you don't want to do the whole shebang. And I'm pretty sure Rick would understand. He just wants to spend a little bit of alone time with you. But you don't see it for Rick. And that's why you don't want to go spend any time with him. Just call a thing and say what it is. Ray Dean says in her confessional that she spends too much time. No, she says that if you spend too much time around someone, it makes you not want to be around them. Well, how do you know that you don't want to be around Rick? You have not spent that much time with him. If that's your logic, Ray Dean, that if you spend way too much time with someone, you end up not wanting to be around them, then you must really, really, really want to be around Rick because you haven't spent any time with Rick, if that's your logic. So she's basically trying to say that separation is supposed to strengthen a relationship. Okay, that's spoken like a true woman who doesn't want to be with that particular man. Rick says in his confessional that He says that it's only, in the beginning, it's just day one of her being completely released. And he says that we're just trying to figure out each other. And he says that it would have been great to spend time with her, but Radine and I are okay. He actually said that. That is a direct quote from Rick's lips. Radine and I are okay. Yes, y'all are okay as friends. That's it. Nothing more. Please see the writing on the wall, Rick. We're so sick and tired of watching men humiliate themselves over women who don't want them, and vice versa. Rick, you seem like someone who's very seasoned. I know you've been around the block more than a couple of times. You've been through it all. I know that you've lived life to the fullest, Rick. Act like you have some sense. Ray Dean doesn't see it for you. As much as she talks about Kay, and then she embarrasses Rick by talking to Kay right in front of you. Calling her prison girlfriend right in front of you. The things that she's done to completely humiliate you, Rick, but y'all are okay. Okay. So then we see Rick after, she drops him off in front of his house, and then, he walks into his house all by his lonely self. No Ray Dean, no nobody. He just enters his house completely alone. And Ray Dean couldn't get out of that neighborhood fast enough. So she says that she didn't want to sleep with Rick because the last time they did, he made her feel really guilty about Kay. He put this, guilt trip on her about Kay. That just sounded bizarre to me because I was trying to imagine how these people, they're trying to get closer, trying to get intimate, and then he's all of a sudden he brings up her girlfriend and he tries to make her feel guilty about her having this relationship with someone else. At that moment, really, he talked about Kay when y'all were trying to be intimate. What are you talking about, Radine? And so she says that she loves Rick and she wants to give him the opportunity that he deserves, and she doesn't want to leave him. Radine, I don't know. I have to call a thing a thing. I think you're just with him, or you're just spending time with him, or you're keeping him around just enough so that you can get money from him so he can take care of you. Or if you get really fed up with living with your parents, you have somewhere else to go. Radine, what I need you to do, sweetheart, I need you to get it together. I need you to get a job. I need you to take some classes, learn a skill, learn a trade, get a degree, do something, and be independent and stop using people. Stop using your parents, stop using men, and just try to be independent and try to create a life for you and Kay for when Kay is released. Try to make it work like that. Stop being a user. Stop using Rick as just your cash register or your ATM machine or whatever the hell you're doing. Just stop. Just be independent. Do your own thing. You know what? It would be a still the show is called Love After Lockup, so I understand that you have to have some element of a relationship in the show, but it would still be, and I guess this would be for a different show, but it would be interesting to watch people who are released from prison, especially people who spent, 3 years, 5 years or more, watch them after they're released from prison, learn how to be independent, get jobs, get education, get their own places to live, enter healthy relationships, as healthy as they can possibly be. It'd be nice to watch that progression, from ex-con to nurse practitioner, or ex-con to business owner, or something like that. That'd be interesting to watch. But I know in this particular show, we're not going to see that because the show is centered around broken, lonely, stupid hearts. Moving on to Kevin and Tiffany. Kevin, we get it. You love the color red. We get it. That's your favorite color. So Kevin drops Tiffany off at the tattoo parlor, and she meets one of her high school friends there named Kayla. So as she's getting tattooed, Tiffany tells Kayla about the fight between Curtis and Kevin. And then Kayla asks Tiffany, so who did you end up leaving with? And Tiffany says, the guy that won the fight. Yeah, obviously. So we learn that Curtis is really a troublemaker. He's not, someone who's trying to rescue a damsel in distress. They tell us that Curtis is a troublemaker. He's a fight starter. He's always starting stuff on Facebook with people, causing problems online, talking about people, all this crazy stuff. And so Tiffany says that he was practically stalking her online and she had to block him. So as she's doing her confessional, the producers hand her some flowers and a card, and evidently they were from Curtis. He sent her a bouquet of flowers and a card, and I forgot what the card. I said the card had some, cryptic message about her breaking his heart or something like that, and I thought that was interesting. So then we're moving on to Tiffany unpacking at Kevin's house. So they're trying to get their life started together. She's unpacking her stuff. She's trying to find a space for her clothes, so on and so forth. So it's like, okay, they're trying to start this life together. So Kevin goes into the bathroom or the kitchen or somewhere, and he's looking at his phone, and girls are just hitting him up, hitting him up. These girls, they really want to see him. So while they're walking their dogs, or they're walking Kevin's dogs, while they're walking Kevin's dogs, he's on his phone. And so Tiffany is like, what is going on? Who are you talking to on your phone? And he's like, oh, just some friends or whatever. And so she gets, that funny feeling that it's not just friends, it's something else going on. So she tells him, what do you really have going on here? And he's like, well, what do you have going on? And she's like, obviously nothing, because I just got released from prison. And he says, yeah, and on your first day out, you had me beating up fools outside the halfway house. So what do you have going on? So, there's no trusting each other at all. And then he tells her, because she keeps on pressuring him, who are you talking to? What's going on? What are you doing? Who's out on your phone? And then he tells her, you don't want to know what I'm doing, because I don't think you can handle the truth of what I'm doing. And so he tells her straight up, yeah, I've been talking to girls. Yes, I am talking to several girls, because I didn't know what was up with you. You're acting all funny. You didn't want me to come pick you up. And then I show up and you got some dude up there waiting on you. So yeah, I was talking to other girls. So what you want to do about that? So she's like, she's done. She goes back to the house. She packs her suitcase and she's out of there on foot. Where she was going, I have no idea. I wonder if there was somebody waiting to pick her up somewhere. I have no idea. But she left on foot. And I'm like, girl, where are you walking to with that suitcase? Like, seriously, where are you going? What's happening here? So then we move on to Kayla and Martell. Okay, one more thing about Kevin. So Kevin is a very little man. Every time that I see him, and I'm pretty sure Kayla, she's not that big herself. But then next to Kevin, I mean, she's like a giant next to Kevin. Kevin is a very little man, but he carries a big old punch. He carries a huge punch. But he's a very short man, and he's very little, but he gets the ladies. The ladies love Kevin because he's got that charm. He's got that personality. He just has that, dare I say it, y'all? Dare I say it? He's kind of got that swag. So it is what it is. Moving on to Kayla and Martell. Martell has apologized to Kayla, as we saw in the previous episode, that he said he was sorry. So they're back on track. Remember how she said they needed a break and that she was going to step away from this relationship? Well, now they're back on track. Now she's got hard eyes for Martell. I guess she forgot that she was supposed to be taking a break from him. We don't see Martell at all in this episode, but they do talk about him quite a bit. So Martell is about to leave the halfway house, and the plan is he's going to be moving in with Kayla. Kayla, why? Why do you want these problems? There's no way in hell I could live with Martell. I mean, as good looking as he is and all this, there's no way I could live with Martell. Martell seems like he's about problems. He's about these problems. And Martell is just for the streets. That's all. He's for the streets. So Kayla meets up with Martell's cousin. I think her name was Bobo. Was her name Bobo? Yeah, Bobo. Kayla meets up with Martell's cousin, and they meet up at the cleaning supply store. And so they're getting a whole bunch of cleaning supplies. And Kayla says to that Martell, when he moves in, he'll have all of his cleaning supplies and he can clean the apartment just the way he likes it to be cleaned. So Bobo says in her confessional that Martell is a ladies' man. He's got a whole bunch of women waiting on him, waiting for his release. And Kayla tells Bobo, because I think they were talking about, when he gets out of the halfway house, what's going to be going on. And I think Bobo was like, Martell's got that good meat. So all these women are waiting on him. And I'm like, girl, you're his cousin. How do you know he's got good meat? Like, what are you talking about? But anyways, so Bobo was like, yeah, all these females are waiting on him. And, he's got all this pent up energy that he's been, accumulating while he was away. And so it's going to be on and popping. And so Kayla tries to make Bobo believe that Martell has outgrown all of that stuff. He's gotten all of that wildness out of his system and he's ready to settle down. I'm like, Kayla, are you seriously? Is this a joke? Are you like being a comedian with us right now? Are you saying these things like you're seriously believing what you're saying? So she says that, well, Martel, he's over all of that. He's not a player anymore. He's got that all out of his system because he's done it all. He's done everything under the sun. So he's not like that no more and he's ready to settle down. The man's been gone 13 years. 13 years. 13 years. And to hear him tell it, he hasn't done anything in 13 years. And you think that he's going to come out of prison with all of this candy in front of him. He's going to be like a kid in a candy store. All this candy out there. Not only is there a lot of candy in front of him, the candy is after him. The candy is chasing him down the street. And girl, you really believe that he's going to stay in that little old apartment with you morning, noon, and night? Okay. So, she spends $300 in cleaning products. That house better be spick and span. I mean, not a single iota of dust anywhere if you're going to be spending $300 just for cleaning products. Like, how much did you spend on groceries? Moving on to Lacey and Antoine. So they have their intimate moment. They wake up the next morning and she already has lip gloss on, I noticed. Okay, so you just wake up with lip gloss, or do y'all wake up and get ready for, the cameras to start rolling? What's happening? But she's waking up out of bed, climbing out of the covers as if she just woke up, but she has lip gloss on. So in his confessional, Antoine says that he gives their first night a B. His lips said B, but his whole facial expression said D minus because he didn't look enthused. He was like, yeah, I gave it a B. And as soon as he wakes up out of bed, he says he wants to take a shower. And as soon as he's out of the bed, he starts making the bed because that's how he was programmed or trained in prison, that as soon as you wake up, you make your bed or you get an infraction. So he starts making the bed right away because he didn't want to get an infraction. So anyways, she asked him, I guess he came out of the shower. She's in the kitchen making breakfast and he comes out of the shower and she asked him, how was your shower? And he said the shower was great. And I bet you he gave that shower an A plus compared to what he gave her performance the night before. So over breakfast, she starts talking about his mother and she tells him that she does not want him to hang around his mother because it's going to lead him back to his old habits and he's going to end up in prison again. So she's like, your mother's a bad influence and I don't think you should be hanging out with your mom. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna do what I want. Girl, that's his mom. His mom could be the leader of the worst gang in America. He is still going to go see his mother and spend time with his mother. There's no way you can stop that. I don't know who you think you are, Lacey, but there is no way that you're going to stop this man from seeing his mom. Him and his mom have problems, and most likely when he gets with his mom, they're probably going to have a big old blowout fight because the mother is, she's got an issue with drinking. He's a recovering addict himself. So when they get together, it's probably going to be very, very explosive and very, very scary, but nothing is going to stop this man from spending time with his mother. It's just not going to happen. So Lacey can give up on that. So Lacey says in her confessional that his mom is obsessed with him and I won't let her sabotage our relationship. The only people that can sabotage a relationship is either you or Antoine. No outside person can sabotage a relationship. I don't believe in that. If the two of you really want to be together, y'all will be together, at all cost. Because you've seen those couples where everybody tells them that they're not good for each other. His friends are saying she's not good for you. Her friends are saying he's not good for you. Everybody tries their best to break them up and they just stay together in their, own dysfunctional bliss. Yes, there's no one can sabotage your relationship other than the two of you. If y'all want to be together, y'all be together regardless of what anybody has to say or do. Moving on. So she takes him golfing, and I thought that was kind of odd. She takes him golfing, like indoor golfing, or it's like a golf range where you just hit the ball. It's not like a putt place. But anyway, so she takes him indoor golfing, and he's very overwhelmed with all the people because he was in the hole for a long time. How long was he in the hole? I think he was in the hole was it 3 years or something? I don't know. He was in the hole for a very long time where he was isolated. He had no human contact. It was just him by himself. So every time he goes outside where there's a lot of people, he gets anxiety because he's not used to it. So she takes him golfing and he's very overwhelmed. He starts getting anxious. And she's like, well, if you don't feel comfortable, we can just leave. And he's like, well, we're here now, so let's just go through with it. So they play golf. It's fun. It is what it is. And he says that what he loves about Lacey is that she's a really genuine person and that she didn't leave him when everybody else abandoned him in prison. Lacey says that she was with her ex-husband for 20 years, but it never really worked for them because she wasn't able to be herself. She says her marriage didn't work because she wasn't able to be herself. Girl, you were with him for 20 years. Something was working. That's a long time. In this day and age, to be married for 20 years, that's a long time. That's like the entire life of a marriage. You know what I mean? That was your marriage. Okay, don't say that it didn't work out. After 20 years, that was your marriage. Okay, we understand that the goal is to stay married until you die. That's the goal. But the next best thing is to be married for at least 20 years. That was your home. That was a successful marriage as far as I'm concerned because y'all lasted 20 years together. But she kind of talks about it like, yeah, my marriage really didn't work out. But you were married for 20 years. That's a long time. That's like y'all did it all. Y'all had the ups, the downs, the ins, the outs, all of that. You did it all. That's like an entire lifetime of a marriage. So, and when she didn't really explain on how she couldn't be herself because who she is now, if her being herself with Antoine is, this is who she really is. It's like, what is this? Because you don't want to do anything. You don't want to go anywhere. You all you do is vape. So you couldn't be yourself as far as what? Compared to what? I don't understand. Did your husband force you to be a party animal, but you're really like, you just want to stay inside and read books? Like that was who you really were? Or you really were someone who was attracted to inmates and that's who you were like? What do you mean? Because what you are, what we see, it's not that, overwhelming. It's not that exciting. So Antoine, she says Antoine has awakened a passion in her. Like in what way? How? Lacey to me is very humdrum. And I don't know how Antoine is going to she doesn't even want him to go see his mother. Like seeing his mother she thinks is like too much excitement for him. His mother, spending time chilling with his mom, she sees it as like a really bad influence. Like he's talking about, partying all night or going out to clubs and bars and joining a biker gang or something. He just wants to go hang out with his mother. And she's like, you can't go hang out with your mother. You're going to end up in prison again. But there's this passion. I mean, the first night when he came out, they just sat in her living room. That was the night he FaceTimed his mom and he was like, man, it's really lit over there. At his mother's house. And his mom was just there with her boyfriend or something, drinking. And he was like, man, it's so lit over there. Yeah, compared to Lacey's house. Yeah, I mean, the nonfiction section of a library is more lit than Lacey's house. Okay, so she says she wants to get married and she wants to have kids. And she needs to hurry up because she's like 37, 38 years old. So she's like, yeah, we need to make this happen. And I just don't see Antoine going for that. But we'll see. I could be wrong. So the third day that he's out, she takes him to a car lot because she wants him to buy a car. She's going to help him buy a car. On the way to the car lot, she gets a flat tire. And this was like the most life that we've seen in Lacey. She got really mad with the flat tire. She started cussing, banging the steering wheel. This was like the most animated that I have seen Lacey when she got that flat tire. So they ditched the car because I guess someone's going to show up in a couple of hours to fix it. Antoine wasn't going to fix it. He says he doesn't know how to fix a tire and he doesn't want to get his hands dirty. So they actually walk. I think it was like just a little bit down the street. They walked to the car lot and he wanted to test drive a car, but he doesn't have a license. So they couldn't let him leave the lot. So they let him test drive. around and around in the parking lot. And he likes the car. And so they go inside to work something out with the contract. And the money, they had the money. He had like enough for the down payment. He had more, I think, more than enough for the down payment. But they couldn't decide on whose name the car was going to be in. She doesn't want it in her name because she knows that he still got that, criminal mentality. So she doesn't want anything to be linked to her if he decides to rob a bank in that car, go steal other cars in that car, or whatever. She doesn't want to be associated with that. She's like, I love him, but I can't trust him all the way. So I can't put my name. I can't put his car under my name. He wants her to put the car under his name, for whatever reason, because I guess he doesn't want the responsibility. So they go back and forth with that. They couldn't come to any kind of agreement. So they end up leaving without the car. I was like, damn, why couldn't you just get the car in your own name, Antoine? If you're an ex-con with no job, no credit, these people were, they were going to, you're going to be able to walk out of there with a car of your own. But just because you don't want to have it under your name, y'all decide just to leave the car there. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Maybe I missed something there. So they argue over that. Okay, so then they walk out. And then as they're walking out of the office, Antoine says, don't get me excitement. Don't get me excited like that and then not follow through. He was pissed. Moving on to Chaz and Bronwyn. So Chaz and Bronwyn. They get in the car, and this is after she's just released from prison. They're still in the prison parking lot. So they get in the car. They're about to drive off. But before they drive off, Chaz kisses her. He has a way of kissing that's unappealing. The first thing he does is like he sticks out his tongue and stuff. It's just disgusting. So Chaz kisses her several times, and she kisses him back, but you can tell that she's kind of tense about it. Like she's not really. I mean, it looks uncomfortable. It looks so awkward. It doesn't look natural. I don't know what these people are doing. And so, in the car, Chaz says, "Oh, we're gonna have such a good time. We're gonna have such a good life together." And he's so excited. And he's so enthusiastic. And he's like, "Babe, we're gonna have such a great life together because they're gonna go get married." And Bronwyn, all she can say is, "Mm-hmm." So they're rushing to get married because for her to leave, I think they're in Oregon or Seattle, for her to go to Kentucky with him, she can only go if she's married to the man that lives in Kentucky, or if she's got family member that live in Kentucky. So she doesn't have a family member, so all she can do is so they're getting married for convenience. And I think that's why it's so easy for her. Well, she said that she's willing to marry him to show him that she's committed to this relationship. And so that's why she's going to go ahead and get married. And she has no problem moving to Kentucky with him. So they get married, and they get married in their they have matching jogging suits. I didn't care about that. That was cute, whatever. I had no problem with that. That was fine. And so after they got married, when he kissed her, he does that lizard kiss again with his tongue. And it's just like, wow. So they get in the car, and he gives her like a bag of something, or a wallet or a purse or something. I forgot. And so he says that he gives her basically like a stack of credit cards. I thought he said, look through the cards and see the one that has your name. So I thought that there was one card out of that stack that was hers, for her alone to use. But then I thought maybe he was giving her the whole entire stack, because there was like a lot of cards, a lot of credit cards. And so she's just going through them. He gave her, I think, an Apple Watch. He said that he had spent about $8,000 to $9,000 on her. And, yeah. And so, yeah, so he's, anyways, he's smitten. And so then Bronwyn says that from the time that she was 18 until now, she's been in and out of jail. She spent a total amount of 11 years in jail, going in and out, in and out, in and out. It all added up to about 11 years in prison, which is different from what he told us, because Chaz told us that she ended up in prison because it was some type of identity crime that she did, identity theft or something. And it kind of like, it was just like a crime of opportunity. Like the opportunity was there. She took it. She ended up getting caught. Then she ended up in prison. Now we find out she's a career criminal. She was in and out of prison for a total of 11 years. She spent a total of 11 years behind bars when you add them all up together. And so it wasn't like, oh, it was just this one time thing. She's a career criminal. So they get married, and after they got married, he tells her, I love you so much. I love you so much it hurts. Where does it hurt, Chaz? Where do you feel the pain? What do you mean by that? I love you so much it hurts. Love isn't supposed to hurt. There's hotline numbers for that, Chaz. So after that, she's 2 hours out of prison, and she has to go. She's out on transitional, which means that she's got 4 months left of her time to complete, but they're gonna complete. She's gonna complete it on the outside instead of behind bars. And so once she finishes her transitional, she's gonna be able to move to Kentucky with him. He's gonna go off and go to Kentucky, I think, because he's got jobs, he's got a responsibility, so he's gonna go ahead and leave for Kentucky, and she's gonna stay in wherever state she's in, Seattle, until she's done with her transitional. But she's been paroled to her friend's baby daddy's house. So at first I thought she said that she was paroled to her friend's house and her friend lives there with her baby daddy. But no, it's just going to be Bronwyn and the baby daddy in this house. The friend lives somewhere else. Evidently the friend and the baby daddy are not together. So she says that, what does she say? So she says that it's kind of weird. No, she says that the boyfriend, the friend's baby daddy, her new roommate, she says, he's really weird about having people over. So Chaz will not be able to spend the night. Sure, Bronwyn. I'm so sure. Because while they were driving to the house, you can tell that Chaz he wanted her to spend the night with him. He wanted to get a hotel and he wanted her to spend the night with him. And she was like, yeah, I'm not allowed to do that because of my transitional or the terms of my parole. Oh, because they was stopped by her parole officers first. She had to go find out what her restrictions were. And so she goes, one of her restrictions is that she has a 6 p.m. curfew. And so she tells Chaz, well, yeah, I'm not going to be able to spend the night with you in a hotel because I have to spend the night in the home that I'm paroled to. And so then he was like, well, I can spend the night with you. And then she says, well, the guy that I'm going to be living with, my friend's baby daddy, he's really funny about, guys sleeping over. He's really funny about that. I bet he is, Bronwyn. So they go to the house before her new roommate comes home. And you can tell that Chaz is trying to squeeze in some adult time before the owner of the home comes home. And Bronwyn wasn't feeling it at all. She was not in the mood. She didn't want it. She didn't care for it. No. So she says she's tired. She says, oh, I'm so tired. Sure, Bronwyn, you're tired. So then Bronwyn says in her confessional that kissing Chaz is really awkward, but because he doesn't feel familiar to her. And it's like kissing a stranger. And Bronwyn is also very self-conscious about her body. So she's not ready to do anything intimate with Chaz because of how she feels about her body. She says that being in prison and being in quarantine or whatever, I guess they couldn't do a lot of activities because of COVID and all of that. And so she wasn't very active in prison and she had gained a little bit of weight. And I'm thinking to myself, this is all so strange and bizarre. What's strange and bizarre to me is that Chaz is falling for this whole, I'm living with my friend's baby daddy. But it's so platonic and there's nothing going on. How did that come about? Oh, because she said she couldn't leave the state. But what happened to that girl? Wait, I don't know. What happened to the girl who met her at the prison when she was released? What happened to that lady? She doesn't live in that state? What's going on, Bronwyn? What's really going on, girl? Anyways, if Chaz likes it, all we can do is love it, right? So that's the end of my review. We went on way too long. Thank you so much for joining me. I cannot wait for the next episode. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video and please don't forget to subscribe, and I will definitely talk to you later. Bye.